Hi again everyone, Scott Potter Popcorn fan here, and in this video I want to talk about a certain series of Pokemon games that is getting re-released tomorrow actually on the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon Red Rescue Team, which is the original game that came out I know it came out near the tail end of Generation 3, so it was a spin-off that was a mystery mystery dungeon was a genre before Pokemon, so there were other games in the mystery dungeon genre before Pokemon did their own series. And I never played any of those other games, but being a massive Pokemon fan, I grew up with the mystery dungeon games as well, and they're definitely some of my favorite spin-off games in the entire franchise, because they have some of the best stories in the entire Pokemon franchise too. Like the original games, Red and Blue Rescue Team, and the remake that came out a few years back. I think it came out in 2020, Rescue Team DX. It's a remake, but it's also in a way like the third version exclusive of those older games in a way. So it's kind of funny that this new remake that came out back in 2020, Rescue Team DX, kind of brings in a lot of mechanics that weren't in the originals, a lot of updated mechanics, things like that, and having 3D visuals to be more modern, but at the same time honoring those older games. And Rescue Team DX, easily one of my favorite Pokemon games on the Switch as well. I think that game in particular is really well done in regards to the music. The music, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Some of the best aspects of these Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games is, of course, the soundtrack. That is true for pretty much every game in this series. And also the best Mystery Dungeon game in this spin-off series is, in my opinion, Explorers of Sky, which I've actually been replaying recently, and it's just a lot of fun. It really is. And the meat of the story of Explorers of Sky is just it goes really time-winey in regards to the story of Explorers of Sky, and I love that story. It's much more impactful to me and much more emotionally investing than the original games, and I love it. I love Explorers of Sky because that's also like a third version exclusive to Explorers of Time and Darkness. This was in Generation 4, so naturally it was mainly featured Generation 4 Pokemon, the starters, and then Gates to Infinity came out, and I remember looking forward to that, and I kind of stopped playing that after a while. I remember enjoying Gates to Infinity, and one of the very first reviews here on my channel was for Gates to Infinity, and I had music playing over myself talking, and that was one of the first videos on my channel, and yeah, giving my updated thoughts on that game, and while talking about the history of this spin-off series. It's an okay game. It's a little bit forgettable. I love the soundtrack though. A great soundtrack, and I also like how in this, I think it's with this game where once you go through that whole interview thing, it lets you have the option of playing one of the starters that you can choose from. I think Gates to Infinity was the first game that did that, and then carried over to Super Mystery Dungeon, which is vastly superior to Gates to Infinity. Although that story is also a little bit forgettable to me. I don't remember the story of Super Mystery Dungeon quite as much. I need to replay that as well. And then the remake, Rescue Team DX, which came out a few years ago. So that's mainly the history of this franchise, and I absolutely love these games for the most part, except for Gates to Infinity. And I think Red Rescue Team being re-released for the Switch tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow. That's why I'm talking about this now. I don't want to go into too big of a rant, but This year is also the 20-year anniversary of Pokemon Coliseum, and I'm surprised they have not done anything in regards to that particular Pokemon game. I want that game to be re-released for the Switch, not Red Rescue Team. We don't need Red Rescue Team on the Switch because A, we already have Rescue Team DX, that's far superior, and B, there are other spin-off games that they could release for the Switch, and and I just think that Red Rescue Team is not needed on the Switch. I mean, nostalgia, sure. You want to play the game again because of nostalgia? Go ahead. I just think that if I wanted to play the original game again, I'd just play the remake, Rescue Team DX. It's so much better because that's another thing. Red Rescue Team was the inferior version to Blue Rescue Team because that game, Blue Rescue Team, it was a little bit better with its mechanics because it also was on the DS, and the Red Rescue Team was on the Game Boy. And yeah, those two versions, like Blue Rescue Team was a better version of those two when those original games came out. And that's another reason why I'm a little bit baffled as to why Red Rescue Team was being released for the Switch, for the online membership. I just don't get it. But aside from that tiny little rant, I'm looking forward to what will happen next for the Mystery Dungeon series. I'm hoping against hope that maybe they do a remake for Explorers of Sky, because I'd love to see that game in the 3D visual style of Rescue Team DX. Explorers of Sky is easily my favorite. It has the most content, it has the best story, and I'm really hoping. I'm hoping Explorers of Sky gets re-released as a remake for the Switch at some point in the future. So, yeah, and I think that's pretty much it for all my thoughts. The original games, I hold those a special place in my heart. In regards to the story of those games, as well as Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky, there's this theming of friendship, right? And I always latched onto that. Like, I always latched on to the friendship between the player character and your partner in those older games. And I've always latched onto that because I have my best friend Sean, who is very special to me and very invaluable to me as my best friend. And I don't know what I'd do without Sean. So as a result of my friendship with Sean, I've always latched on to these games in particular because of that friendship between the player Pokemon and your partner Pokemon. And you get to those moments near the end of the story where the player character starts to disappear, and then you get those really emotional moments with the partner Pokemon, and it really resonates with me in particular, and that's part of the reason why I love these games so much. It's the story, you care about the characters, and there's a lot of memorable characters too. I love the character of Wigglytuff in the older games, and especially in Explorers of Sky. He had a much bigger role in that, and especially like the Kecleon shop people, the purple Kecleon, the antique Kangaskhan. There are so many memorable characters that you latch on to that recur throughout the series, and which is another thing I really like about these games. There's a little bit of consistency between returning characters with each consecutive game, which is another reason why I really like these games. They're more story driven, and yeah, the gameplay can get a little bit repetitive. The more you play these games, the longer you play them, the gameplay can get a little bit repetitive, just because it's a lot of the same button smashing kind of stuff, and there's not a whole lot to think about in regards to the combat when you're in the dungeons, and I can understand that, but I think Rescue Team DX helped to change that a tiny little bit with the rainbow gummies and things like that. And I just think that the combat is fun, but like I said, can get a little bit repetitive. And I just think that overall, if you're there for this experience of the story, you definitely get that. And I highly recommend these games too. For those of you that are Pokemon fans that want more story-driven experiences, these games in particular, you definitely want to consider. So yeah, those are all my thoughts about the Mystery Dungeon series. I'm a little bit annoyed that Red Rescue Team is being released for the Switch tomorrow on the online membership, because I've been really needing Colosseum to have its due for its 20th anniversary, and they just have not done anything. And also in regards to Pokemon news in general, that's the only news that we've gotten lately. Red Rescue Team being re-released tomorrow for the online membership for the Switch. That's the only news we've had lately. And I've been rewatching like walkthroughs of the Mystery Dungeon games, especially Rescue Team DX, and the fact that Rescue Team DX also includes Mega Evolution, it just made me think of Legends ZA, because Legends ZA will be including Mega Evolution, and I want more info for this upcoming game. I really do. Legends ZA, it's my most hyped game for next year, obviously, because I'm a massive Pokemon fan, and because Legends Arceus is my favorite Switch game. I need information, and I'm sure that as soon as we do get information, I will definitely cover that here on my channel for Legends ZA, so look forward to that. And yeah, those are all my thoughts for the Mystery Dungeon series and the history of it. I love this series. So, and also if I had to do like a ranking, Explorers of Sky, my favorite, Rescue Team DX, second favorite, Super Mystery Dungeon, and then Gates to Infinity at the bottom, that would be my ranking. And yeah, so okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Take care and have a great day, and have a good weekend this weekend. Peace.